So in previous class we were discussing regarding the different type of organisms based on type of nitrogenous waste being excreted, right? Based on that, uricotelic, ureotelic and aminotelic organisms are there. Ammonotelic or aminotelic? Ammonotelic organisms. See, there are some organisms which can excrete the nitrogenous waste in the form of amino acids only. Those are called as aminotelic organisms. Aminotelic. Aminotelic organisms. So which excretes. So these organisms excretes amino acids. Amino acids. Say for example, that is guanine and then xanthine. Guanine and as well as the xanthine. Example of organisms excreting the amino acids. Yes, any idea? The example of such organisms. So here those examples are penguins and spiders. Penguins and then the spiders, these are aminotelic organisms. Why? Because they excrete the excretory waste in the form of guanine as well as xanthine. So these guanine and xanthine, they are obtained during or produced as a waste product during nucleotide metabolism. Okay, these are produced during nucleotide metabolism. Nucleotide metabolism. Is it clear? Okay. See, what are the various type of nitrogenous waste formed? So in that, the one is, what is that one? Guanine and then the xanthine, which will be produced during the nucleotide metabolism. Like that, other excretory products are if we list. So what are those excretory products? So as we already know that one, ammonia is the one, right? Ammonia, and this ammonia is highly toxic in nature. Highly toxic. How this ammonia is produced? How this ammonia is produced, or when this ammonia will be produced? It is produced by deamination of proteins. This ammonia is produced. This one is produced by a deamination of protein. Deamination of proteins. If the intake of protein is more, means the more amount of ammonia will be produced. More amount of ammonia produced means in human being, what happens? More amount of urea will be generated. More amount of urea will be generated. Okay, remember that one. This is ammonia, which is produced during the deamination of the proteins and which is highly toxic and requires more amount of water for its removal. And second type of nitrogenous waste of the excretory product is, what is that one? Urea, right? Urea. And you know how urea is produced? By conversion of ammonia into urea by means of which cycle? Ornithine cycle, which is also called as a Krebs-Hanslitt cycle, or this cycle is also called as a urea cycle also. Urea cycle. So the urea is less toxic than, this one is less toxic than ammonia. Right? Then how much urea will be excreted? How much urea will be excreted by, or how much urea will be present per 100 ml of blood? Yes. So in humans, how much urea will be present per 100 ml of blood? Yes. 18 to
24.
ಎಷ್ಟು 24 So 18 to 32, okay, 32 milligrams per 100 ml of blood. This is what the quantity of urea will be present in our blood. Milligram, it is a toxic one. In 100 ml of blood. Okay, so 18 to 32 grams of which one? Urea will be present usually. And this one is produced by means of what is metabolic pathway called as urea cycle or ornithine cycle or Krebs-Hanslitt cycle, what we discussed in the previous class. Yes, apart from the urea, next one is uric acid, right? See, you know that one uric acid is produced in some organisms. Those organisms are called as uricotelic organisms, right? Or uric acid is excreted as a nitrogenous waste in some of the organisms, particularly birds, insects, reptiles, and then the land snails. So droppings of birds are called as guano. Okay, so are the bird droppings, so these are called guano. So what this guano contains? Okay, which is rich in, this guano is rich in, which is rich in, what is that one? Uric acid and phosphates. Uric acid as well as the phosphates. Is it clear? Yes, other than this, any other excretory products are there, are produced in different type of organisms. The next type of excretory product is, say for example, omnitheoric acid. In which organisms this omnitheoric acid is produced? Ants. So this is also produced in birds only. So it is a excretory product in birds. Okay, next is so like that TMAO. What is the TMAO? Trimethylamine oxide produced in this one is produced in which organisms? We have discussed this TMO while discussing regarding the osmoregulation in the marine water. Yes, what is that one? Shark. Means bony fishes, okay? Produced in bony fishes. And another type of excretory product or the waste is creatinine phosphates. Creatinine. Creatinine phosphate. Where it is produced? Produced during creatinine metabolism in muscle cells. So produced during creatinine metabolism in muscle cells. So these are the different type of excretory products which we can observe in different type of organisms. Any doubt in this one? Okay. So remember these different type of excretory products. That is very important for the NEET examination. Okay. So okay. Now with respect to this uric acid, let's discuss some more point about the uric acid crystals or the uric acids for the point of NEET examination only. Okay. So before that, make a note of these points now. See, we know that one Ammonia is the most toxic or highly toxic. Urea is less toxic than the ammonia and more toxic than the uric acid. And particularly in birds, particularly in birds, what will be the excretory waste produced? Uric acid. Why? Because it is least toxic one. What about in embryo? What about in case of embryo? See, we know that one embryo means initially, for example, those which lay the eggs, the embryo development will take place inside that egg only, in the egg only, right? So here what will be present here? Embryo will be present. So, metabolic activities will be higher in the embryo, we know that one, right? In the fetus or the embryo, metabolic activities will be higher. During that metabolic activity, excretory waste produced, where they will get excreted? That will be present in the surrounding fluid only, right? Surrounding fluid. If that nitrogenous waste produced, if it is an ammonia or the urea means that becomes more toxic to that embryo, so that embryo may get killed or embryo may die, right? Because of that reason only, the egg, or because of that reason only, so what happens? So in birds, nitrogenous waste is uric acid will get accumulated in the form of uric acid crystals. Okay, this uric acid will get accumulated as uric acid crystals which get added to the shell of that egg. So this is what the egg means. This covering is called as what is called as the shell, right? Shell of that egg. To that shell of the egg, these uric acid crystals will get attached or get adhered. So will get accumulated as uric acid crystals, and these uric acid crystals, get attached to shell of egg, so that the accumulation of toxic content will not take place in that embryo or surrounding the embryo. Like that, the presence of uric acid as a nitrogenous waste is an advantageous for the embryo of the birds. In case of human beings, what happens? The excretory waste is urea, right? And we know that one umbilical cord, which carry the fetal blood to towards the placenta, and placenta acts as a selective permeable membrane. So through that there will be an exchange of the waste materials with the nutrients and oxygen. So like that it is being eliminated in human embryo. But in case of the embryo of the birds, what happens? The uric acid crystals will be formed and they get added to the shell of that egg. So by that it escapes from the toxic content to be formed. So remember this one, the uric acid crystals will get attached to the shell of the egg in the egg of the birds. Based on this also, the questions will be asked in the NEET examination. Any doubt in this one? Okay, fine. So this is regarding the various aspects of various types of excretory waste or the nitrogenous waste are produced. And we know that one, compared to ammonia, urea is less toxic and uric acid is least toxic one. How least toxic it is? That question may also be asked in the NEET examination. So particularly about the uric acid, it is mentioned. So uric acid is 1 lakh times least toxic. 1 lakh times least or less toxic than ammonia. So how less toxic the uric acid when compared to the ammonia means 1 lakh times it is less toxic than the ammonia. So remember these numericals. Okay. So this is regarding the various type of excretory products produced as a nitrogenous waste and their excretion. Next. So based on this, okay, now as we have discussed regarding the various type of excretory products also and various organisms in which different type of excretory products are obtained or the produced. Can you list out the type of organisms which are coming under the animal kingdom and their excretory products and their excretory organs or the structures? Okay. With respect to that one here, the very important one are, we know that one, most of the organisms first they produce ammonia only as a excretory waste. But in some of the organisms which are the terrestrial forms or the aerial one, in them they get converted into least toxic one, right? So particularly if you take the examples of nematode. So what the nematodes are also called as? In case of nematode, that is ascalmins, right? What are the excretory cells present in the nematode? In nematode, what are the excretory structures? Yes, excretory structures of different organisms if you list. Yes, flame cells comes under platyhelminths, right? Okay, next are platyhelminths. So in platyhelminths, what are the excretory cells present here? So excretory cells present are flame cells. Why they are called as flame cell? Yes? Structure. Flame cells with protonephridia, right? So with protonephridia, flame cells will also be there, and then protonephridia will also be there. So these flame cells, there appear are the cilia in them, they appear as a flicker of the flame, so only they are called as flame cells. Yes, what about nematode? What are the excretory structures present in the nematode? Any idea? Excretory cells are, yes? Those are kidney stones, sir. Rennet cells are the excretory structures which are present in the nematode. Rennet cells. Next, like that, very important one is about excretory cells which are present in the earthworm. What are the excretory structures present in earthworm?
Nephridia.
Those are excretory organs. Okay, nephridia are there. Excretory structures. Excretory cells in earthworm. Okay, nephridia are there. That is a coiled tubular structures. Along with that one, Malpighian tubules in case of arthropods. Here, along with nephridia, specialized cells which are excretory in nature. Okay, in earthworm, those are Chlorogagan cells. Chlorogagan cells. These are the excretory cells which are present in the earthworm. And what about in case of higher organisms? Kidneys are there, right? Okay. So these are very important one for the aspect of the examination. Like that, you just list the remaining organisms' excretory structures and their excretory product also. Any doubt in that one? Which phylum it belongs to? Which phylum the octopus belongs to? Phylum. Phylum itself is octopus. Vertebrate. You have forgotten first period topic, I think. It belongs to mollusk, right? Yes. Octopus you said, right? Arthropods. Okay. Arthropods means Malpighian tubules are there, antennary glands are there. Phylum itself is arthropod. Okay. I heard octopus, so only I said mollusk. So in arthropods, antennary glands, green glands, and then Malpighian tubules are the excretory structures. So next is regarding the human physiology in that human excretory system. What are the structures that comes under the human excretory system? Yes, what it includes? So which includes or consists of one pair of kidney. Next, pair of urethra. One pair of ureters, right? Yes. Next, one pair of ureters. Next, how many urinary bladder? Only one only. So single urinary bladder. Am I correct, Mr. Zaid? Only one urinary bladder, right? Okay. Urinary bladder. Next, what about last one? Urethra. Okay. So write the spelling correctly. Someone will write as netra. Okay. Don't write it like this. This is urethra. So these are the parts which are included in the human excretory system. So let us discuss about one by one in detail. The first one is regarding the kidney. Okay. Yes. Kidney. So what is the shape of kidney? Okay. Kidney. So these are what shaped structures means? These are the bean shaped, right? Bean shaped. What about their color? Someone said blue. What is the color here? Reddish brown. So color is reddish brown. What about their location? Location between. It is present between. Yes. It is present between last thoracic vertebra, that is T12. How many thoracic vertebra are there? 12 are there, right? So last one is T12 only, right? Between T12 and L3. What do you mean by L3 here? Third lumbar vertebra. So between T12 and then the L3 vertebra, these kidney are located. Okay. On which side of the body? Dorsal or the ventral? Dorsal side of the body. So these are located between the last thoracic vertebra and then the third lumbar vertebra. What about their size then? What about the size? So here with respect to the size, length, okay, then the width and thickness. What about the length of the kidney? Kidney are 10 to 12 kilometers. Centimeters. Okay, correct. Next, width is 5 to 7 centimeter. What about thickness? 2 to 3 centimeter. So remember, their size and location is very important. What about their weight then? What about the weight? The weight is being average, that is 120 to 170 grams. 120 to 170 grams. This is what regarding the basic information of the kidney. Okay, their shape as well as their color, size, and then the mass of the kidney or the weight of the kidney. Any doubt in this one? Okay. So with respect to their structure now, these kidney which are present in one pair, they are present in one pair between the T12 and then the L3 vertebra and the dorsal side of the body. Dorsal side of body, right? Such kidney are protected by means of an protective layer around them and those layers are, that is a 3-layered capsule will be present as a protective structure. What are those 3 layers present in its capsule? So this is what the diagram of human excretory system, right? So here the blue one is nothing but this is vena cava. Which vena cava? Inferior vena cava. What about the red one here indicates? This is dorsal aorta. Dorsal aorta. Then this is renal vein. And this is renal artery. And these whitish colored tubes are called as ureters. So how many ureters are there? 2 are there, right? So one pair of ureter. And these are kidney, right? So this is what? The kidney. And it's a layer here. The inner one is called as a renal capsule. Renal capsule. So here this concavity is called as, the concavity to the inner side is called as, this concavity is called as hilum, right? It is called as a hilum. And this distended structure is urinary bladder. Urinary bladder. This urinary bladder has 3 parts. The upper one is called as apex. Then is the fundus or body of urinary bladder. Next is neck of urinary bladder. Neck of the urinary bladder. Then it opens into urethra. So which opens into urethra. Okay. So this is what regarding the structure of the which one? Human excretory system. Any doubt in this one? Okay. So here you can see the right kidney is lower with respect to the left kidney. What is the reason behind that one? The presence of liver at the right side of the body, right? So here in humans, a right kidney is lower than the left. Why? Because as liver is present on right side, liver is present on the right side of the abdominal cavity. What about in case of rabbit? So human physiology will be compared with that of the rabbit, right? Most commonly. What about in case of rabbit? It will be reversed. In rabbit it is reversed. In rabbit, left kidney is lower than that of the right kidney. Remember that one. And it will be reversed. It will be reversed in rabbit. Okay, fine. So we know that one, the protective structure or the layer around the kidney is nothing but the 3-layered capsule is present, right? So each kidney is covered by 3-layered capsule. 3-layered capsule. In that 3-layered capsule, so what are those 3 layers? Means that is the innermost or inner layer, and then middle layer, and then outer layer. So what these are called as? Inner one is called as renal capsule, and middle one is called as adipose capsule, and the outer one is called as renal fascia. What these are made up of? The outer one is made up of, inner one is made up of white fibrous tissue. The white fibrous connective tissue. Then the middle one, the middle layer is made up of, as the name itself indicates, it is made up of adipose tissue. So this one is made up of adipose tissue. Next, the outer layer, which is called as renal fascia, what it may be made up of? The outer one is, it is made up of fibrous tissue only. So this one is made up of fibrous tissue only. So this is what the arrangement of 3 layers in the protective capsule around each kidney. Okay. Then such kidney are attached to the dorsal wall of the abdominal or dorsal wall of the dorsal side of the body wall. Such a arrangement is called as retroparietal arrangement. The arrangement of the human kidney is retroparietal or retroperitoneal in nature. See, in humans, kidney are attached to, these kidney are attached to dorsal side or the dorsal body wall. Or instead of dorsal body wall, you can write it as in humans, kidney are attached to or dorsal part of kidney. The dorsal part of the kidney. Dorsal part of kidney are attached to the body wall. So that okay, only ventral part of kidney is covered by, which is covered by the outer covering, which is called as peritoneum, but dorsally directly attached to which is attached to body wall. Such arrangement is called as retroperitoneal arrangement. Such arrangement is called as retroperitoneal arrangement. Nothing but the outermost layer, what is the renal fascia is present, right? So that will be covering protective covering of the kidney will be absent on the dorsal side of the kidney, because dorsally it is attached to the body wall. So there will not be the protective covering of the kidney. Such arrangement is called as a retroperitoneal arrangement. So this peritoneum is nothing but the protective covering of the kidney. That peritoneum will be absent on which side of the kidney? Dorsal side of the kidney. Why? Because on the dorsal side, the kidney is attached to the body wall, not the abdominal wall, body wall. So the peritoneum or the outermost covering layer will be present only on the ventral part of the kidney. That is what called as retroperitoneal arrangement. So this is the most important point for the NEET examination. Arrangement of kidney in human beings. Now let us discuss regarding the structure of each kidney now. And this outer part of the kidney, what it is called as? Renal cortex, right? Outer one is called as cortex, inner one is called as medulla. And into this medullary pyramids, there will be the extension of so what these extensions are called as? Medullary rays. What this medullary rays means? Which part of the nephron? Nothing but the Henle's loop or the loop of Henle. And the part of cortex which extend between the renal calyces or into the medulla, this is called as columns of Bertini. And these extensions or the conical extensions are called as calyces. These are called as calyces. What these calyces are? Major calyces or the minor calyces? So these are called as minor calyces. Right here. So here one minor calyce is there and here another minor calyce is there, right? Like 2 to 3 minor calyces then open into part of the renal pelvis. Then this part is called as major calyx. Major calyx. The part of the kidney or the area between medulla and then what is that one? The cortex region. This is called as juxtamedullary area. Juxtamedullary area. About that we will discuss separately, juxtamedullary region. So this is what the structure of kidney. So what are all the things we can observe here means the first one is hilum. What do you mean by hilum here? Yes, what is hilum? What is hilum? The hilum is nothing but the concavity present in the kidney. So concavity present in kidney is called as a hilum. So what enters into the kidney through that hilum means? So here only you can see through the hilum, renal vein, renal artery, hilum as well as the nerves enters. Through which the artery, vein, nerves and the artery, vein, nerves enter the kidney and ureter leaves the kidney. The ureter is emerging from the kidney. So that ureter is leaving the kidney. The remaining structures are that is renal artery, renal vein and nerves, they are entering into the kidney. That is what regarding the hilum. Next, this hilum opens into such hilum which opens into or leads into a space, and this space is called, that space is called as a renal. What this space is called as? Renal pelvis. Renal pelvis. What is the shape of this space here? Which is conical shaped in nature. This one is conical shaped large space, that is only called as a renal pelvis. Further, that renal pelvis gives out the conical shaped projections. Those conical shaped projections are called as calyces. Okay, this conical, what this conical shaped structure first called as a renal pelvis. Such renal pelvis gives out projections. Those projections are called as, such projections are called as renal calyx singular and calyces plural. So how many such renal calyces will be present? So renal calyces, how many such renal calyces will be present? That is 3 to 4 renal calyces will be there in one major calyx. So like that, renal calyces, in that the major one will be present 2 to 3 in number, and the minor one 3 to 4 in each major calyx. Minor, that is 3 to 4 in each major calyx. This is about the number of major calyces or major calyx and then the minor calyces. Into these calyces, the pyramids which open from the cortex region or the medulla region into these calyces, those are called as medullary pyramids. So medullary pyramids, next, medullary pyramids which opens into renal calyces. Their pointed end is called as renal papillae. What they are called as renal papillae. Renal calyces with the pointed end towards renal pelvis. The pointed end which is directed towards the renal pelvis, it is called as, such pointed end is called as renal papilla. Renal papilla. Through this renal papilla, ducts of Bellini opens into the renal pelvis. Ducts of Bellini. So through renal papilla, ducts of Bellini, which opens into renal pelvis. What do you mean by ducts of Bellini? Means nothing but the ducts of the nephron which open into the which converge and opens into the renal pelvis, and those ducts are called as ducts of Bellini. So don't get confused between what is it? Here we have columns of Bettini and then the ducts of Bellini. Bellini are the ducts. Here Bettini are the columns. Understood? Yes. So this is the major space present right here. This is what called as renal space. Initially it gives out, see for example from here to here one branch is there. This is called as major calyx, and this is another major calyx. Like that 2 to 3 major calyx will be present. From that calyx, again conical projections are there. Those conical projections are called as minor calyces. Minor. So in each major calyx, there will be presence of 3 to 4 minor calyx will be present. And what about the number of medullary pyramids? Number of medullary pyramids. Number of medullary pyramids. See here, the pyramid-like structure which open from the medullary region into the renal calyces. These are called as medullary pyramids. So these medullary pyramids, into these medullary pyramids, there will be the projection of the loop of Henle, which converges to form what is the duct called as a duct of Bellini, which open into the renal pelvis. Okay. So in detail we will discuss regarding this when we discuss regarding the structure of the nephron. So this is what the internal structure of the kidney. Any doubt in this one? Remember here, what are the structures which enter through the hilum? It opens as a renal pelvis. The renal pelvis is divided into major calyx first, then into the minor calyces. Into that minor calyces, what opens from the medullary region? Medullary pyramids open. Okay. In between the renal calyces, the cortex extend, and the extension of cortex are called as columns of Bertini. Columns of Bertini. So what do you mean by columns of Bertini? These columns of Bertini are nothing but extensions of cortex into renal calyces, not in between renal calyces. Those are called as columns of Bertini. Any doubt in this structure? That is regarding the structure of human kidney. You know that one transitional epithelium will be present in the urinary bladder. Apart from that one, it is also present at renal pelvis. So renal pelvis is lined by transitional epithelium. As the next structure is nephron. Okay, before discussion of the nephron, we need to discuss regarding ureters, right? Ureters and then the urinary bladder. Let's discuss regarding ureter now. What these ureters are? What these ureters are? What type of structures these ureters are? These ureters are nothing but those are ducts only, right? Right. So these ureters. So these are whitish colored. Yes, whitish colored ducts. Okay. Which arise from renal pelvis and extend down into towards urinary bladder. And finally opens into urinary bladder through slit-like openings. At apex of urinary bladder. At apex of the urinary bladder. To which part of the urinary bladder ureters opens means the apex part of the urinary bladder has slit-like openings. Slit-like openings will be present. So these ureters are the, what is the length of the ureter here? What is the length of the ureter? This ureter's length is about, the length of ureter is, yes, what will be the length of ureter? Length of ureter is, it is 25 to 30 centimeter. 25 to 30 centimeter. What about diameter of the ureter?
2.09
In terms of millimeter. Then these ureters diameter is just 3 millimeter. 3 millimeter. Length is 25 to 30 centimeter and the diameter is 3 millimeter. Okay. And their wall is made up of, or the wall of the ureter, the wall of ureter, wall of ureter is made up of, wall of ureter is made up of outer, okay, next the middle and the inner layers. So what this outer, middle and inner layer represent here? The outer one is connective tissue, the inner one is muscular layer, and then the middle one is muscular layer and inner one is mucus. Why there is a presence of muscular layer here? Why there is a presence of muscular layer? This muscular layer helps in continuous peristalsis in that ureters in order to carry the urine from kidney to the urinary bladder. So this helps in the continuous peristalsis in the ureters. Any doubt in this one? This is regarding the one pair of ureters. And what is their color? They are whitish colored ducts which arise from the renal pelvis and extend up to the urinary bladder or apex of the urinary bladder. Is it clear?
Doom shape.
Yes, what is the doom shape? Inverted pear shape. Okay, the urinary bladder is inverted pear shaped, but its shape and size keep on changing. But its shape and size keep changing. It keep changing as the urine gets filled in it. And it becomes fully distended when get completely filled with the urine, and the urinary bladder get distended and becomes oval shaped when filled completely, when it get filled completely. Okay. So this urinary bladder, as I said earlier, it has three parts. What are those three parts? Apex, body, and then the neck. At the neck region of this urinary bladder, at the neck of urinary bladder, it has two sphincters. What are those two sphincters? Two sphincters are present. That is, the inner one is involuntary sphincter. And the outer one is voluntary sphincter. So the inner sphincter is involuntary, outer sphincter is voluntary in nature, and they are present at which region of the urinary bladder, means at the neck region of the urinary bladder. Then it opens into the urethra. Okay, so this is regarding the urinary bladder. So what is, name the type of epithelium which lines the urinary bladder? Yes, urinary bladder is lined by which epithelium? Transitional epithelium. So this urinary bladder is lined by, which is lined inside by transitional epithelium. Transitional epithelium. Okay, it is having transitional epithelium. Any doubt in this one? That is regarding the urinary bladder. Next is regarding urethra. Any difference is there in urethra of male as well as the female? Is there any difference is present? What is that one? Urethra in female is very short. What about in case of male? It is longer. What is the length of the urethra in male as well as the female? Okay, next one is regarding the urethra. That is the structure through which, okay, or urethra is the last part of excretory system. Excretory system. And length of such urethra, in male and female, it differs. So in male it is about 20 centimeter, and in case of female it's just about 2 to 4 centimeter only. 2 to 4 centimeter. So in male, urethra passes through. In male, urethra passes through which glands here? Prostate gland, and then corpus gland, bulbourethral glands, and penis, and opens out as urethral meatus. What about in case of female? But in case of females, the urethra opens as urethral orifice in the vestibule of female external genitalia. In the female external genitalia, there is a presence of depression called as vestibule. In that vestibule, there is an opening called as urethral orifice through which the urethra opens out. Any doubt in this one? So this is regarding the urethra. Okay. So here we have completed the discussion of the various structures of the human excretory system. So now let's discuss regarding the ultrastructure of the kidney. In that particularly, what are the components present in the kidney? That is regarding the nephrons. Okay. Yes. So next is regarding nephron. So nephrons, so these are the structural and as well as functional units of kidney. Structural and functional units of kidney. Such millions of nephrons will be present Okay. Such millions of nephrons will be present in each kidney. Sir, right? Millions of nephrons will be present in each kidney. So what are the parts of these nephrons now? What are the parts of the nephrons? So nephron has various parts such as various parts. What are those various parts? Say for example, first one is glomerulus or glomerular apparatus. Next one is Bowman's capsule. The next is renal tubule. Then this renal tubule is divided into, what are those? A PCT and then a loop of Henle and then DCT. What do you mean by PCT? Proximal convoluted tubule, and DCT means distal convoluted tubule, right? So first one is glomerulus. So what this glomerulus is made up of then? Let's discuss about the glomerulus now. Yes, it is made up of, first one is glomerulus. So glomerulus is made up of, this one is made up of a network of what is, yes, capillaries from renal artery. The branching of the renal artery are called as renal capillaries. So by the network of such a renal capillaries together with, so what this renal artery is called as? Afferent arteriole. This is called as afferent arteriole, which branches into the renal capillaries. And the branches, okay, then the capillaries which open out of that glomerulus are called as afferent arteriole. And the capillaries which merge to open out as efferent arteriole, right? Together represent glomerulus. See, for example, this is what the afferent arteriole. So here, this is representing what is this one, afferent or the afferent? Afferent arteriole. Nothing but renal artery which enters into the glomerulus. Then leave out as, this is called as afferent arteriole. And this structure is called as glomerulus or glomerular apparatus. Okay, this is the first part of the nephron. Then such glomerulus is surrounded by means of double layered cup like structure, and this double layered cup like structure is called as, what is the name of this one? Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule along with the glomerulus together, it is called as, okay, let's write this here. This is Bowman's capsule. So Bowman's capsule along with the glomerulus together, it is called as Malpighian body. This is called as Malpighian body or renal corpuscle. Renal corpuscle. Okay. So about this Bowman's capsule and then the renal tube, their branches or their parts, okay, that we will discuss in the next class. Any doubt in today's class? Thank you.